If your car doesn't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, adding it can be expensive, complicated, and in some cases not even worth the effort. But devices like these will let you upgrade your car in about 5 minutes. Now, I've already reviewed both of these separately, the Carpodgo T3 Pro and the Carpodgo Mini. But if you're trying to decide between them, the question is pretty simple. Should you spend the extra money on the T3 Pro, or is the Mini all you actually need? Because on paper they do a very similar thing. So in this video, I'm going to compare them side by side and help you decide which one is right for your car. And just so you know, Carpodgo provided both of these devices for the original reviews, but they haven't asked me to make this video. If you want to get a T3 Pro or a Mini for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description below, and using the code LENSOFJAMES at checkout will get you a discount from carpodgo.com. Both of these screens are portable dashboard consoles that give you wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. They both take about 5 minutes to install, they both automatically reconnect when you start the car, and they both massively improve the driving experience compared to using your phone on a mount. But they're designed for slightly different users. The T3 Pro is the larger, more feature-packed option with a bigger screen and more flexibility when it comes to audio and connectivity. The Mini, on the other hand, focuses on simplicity. It's smaller, cleaner, more minimal, and quite a bit cheaper too. So straight away, this isn't just a spec comparison. It's more about how you actually use your car. And we'll start with the most obvious difference, the screen size. The T3 Pro has a sleek and narrow 8.9-inch display, while the Mini comes in at a smaller 6.9 inches. Now that might not sound like a huge difference, but in practice it definitely is. The T3 Pro feels much closer to a built-in infotainment system. It's wider, it fills more of your field of view, and it makes things like split-screen navigation and music much easier to see at a glance. The Mini, on the other hand, is more compact, but that's kind of the point. It doesn't dominate your dashboard, and in smaller cars especially, it actually looks far more natural. In terms of quality, however, both screens are excellent. They're sharp, vibrant, and very responsive, with smooth 60 frames per second performance, which you don't see very often in other screens. They're genuinely some of the nicest to look at displays I've come across. Interestingly though, the Mini screen actually gets brighter, up to around 1000 nits compared to about 700 on the T3 Pro, so in really bright conditions it does have a slight edge there, though the T3 Pro is by no means dim. But overall, this all comes down to preference. If you want something that feels more like a built-in display, the T3 Pro is better. If you want something that blends in and keeps things minimal, the Mini wins. Installation of both is very straightforward. You're looking at about 5 minutes either way, but the approach is quite different. The T3 Pro gives you more options. You can choose between a robust suction cup mount or a small sticky mount that both pair with a magnetic connection system, so you can really adjust the screen to suit your dashboard. Once attached, it's solid, flexible, and feels secure. The Mini takes a slightly simpler approach. It uses a MagSafe style magnetic mount with a sticky pad to attach it to the dash, and that's pretty much it. There's a little less adjustability, though it does turn and tilt to pretty much any angle you'll need it, and is also a much cleaner finish. And because the screen is smaller and lighter, this small but sturdy mount works really effectively, especially in tighter dashboard spaces. The Mini does look a bit like a phone, however, so leaving it on your dashboard could be a consideration in certain areas. When it comes to features, both these screens cover the essentials very well. To start, the T3 Pro and Mini both have very minimal clean interfaces. This may be a little on the dark side, but the Mini does have the option of a brighter UI, which I quite like, and most of the time you'll probably be using the CarPlay or Android Auto screens anyway. Speaking of which, these will handle your music, navigation and notifications with ease and keep you concentrating on driving. Coupled with fast boot times and highly responsive touchscreens, they're very functional to use. They both reconnect automatically when you start the car and just work, which is exactly what you want. But the T3 Pro definitely has the edge in terms of extra features. It has a built-in speaker, multiple audio output options including FM, aux and dual Bluetooth. You can also pair it with a rear camera, but I'll cover that in more detail later in the video. In the settings of the T3 Pro, you can customize boot logos and tweak additional controls too. To me, it's clearly designed to be more of an all-in-one solution. The Mini is more stripped back with Bluetooth and FM transmission only. While it doesn't try to do as much, what it does very well. There are still some nice touches though, like the ability to change themes, adjust colours, rotate the screen 160 degrees, and even use a swipe gesture control to bring up the rear camera to save tapping the reversing wire. So it's not lacking at all, it's just more focused. And don't forget, Carpodgo actively provides regular updates to their screens and takes users' feedback on board too. Just head to their website to find the latest firmware. Audio is probably the biggest difference, aside from looks, between the two screens, and it's something you'll definitely want to think about before choosing. The T3 Pro gives you multiple ways to handle audio. You can use dual Bluetooth, which will be the best option for most, where your phone connects to both the screen and your car stereo at the same time. You've got aux, FM transmission, and even the built-in speaker if you really need it, though as with all screens, it's a bit underpowered for a vehicle. But no matter what your car setup, there will be an easy way to play back music on the T3 Pro. The Mini does things differently, and you only have the option of Bluetooth or FM transmission. There's no built-in speaker, and the screen itself doesn't directly connect to your car for audio. Instead, your phone handles everything, so your phone connects to the Mini for the display and separately to your car for audio, whether that's Bluetooth, FM transmission, or an adapter for cars without Bluetooth or aux capabilities. It's actually quite a clean setup, and if your car already has Bluetooth, it works really well, though there are plenty of ways around it if your car doesn't. It's just not quite as flexible as the T3 Pro, so if your car has a more awkward setup, the T3 Pro may prove easier to work with. When it comes to actually using these while driving, both are a huge upgrade over just using your phone. Navigation is easier to follow, you can view it side by side with music, everything is hands-free, and it just makes the whole experience more convenient. The T3 Pro's larger screen definitely helps with visibility. Maps are large and much easier to read, especially at a glance, and even in split screen mode they're easy to follow. However, the Mini surprised me a bit here. Even with the smaller screen, it never really feels too limiting. Because it's small enough to be positioned wherever you need it, and could even be closer to you than a phone, it still feels like a proper upgrade. So while the T3 Pro is better for visibility, the Mini is absolutely usable and has that brighter screen too. For most people, it's probably more than enough. Both of these screens support an optional rear-view camera, available from Carpodgo, and this adds a lot of practicality if you decide to install one. The T3 Pro uses a more traditional setup, where the camera activates automatically when you go into reverse. You'll need to connect the camera to the reversing light wire for this, and if you'd like an easy step-by-step guide on how to do this, then check out the video linked in the top right corner or in the description below. The Mini functions with reversing cams in the same way, but it also has a gesture feature, so you can swipe on the screen to bring up the rear camera instantly, even without wiring it into the reversing light. It's a small thing, but it's actually one of the most practical non-wire tapping methods I've seen. Do bear in mind though, this is just a reversing camera and not a dash cam. No footage is being recorded. Now let's talk about price. The T3 Pro usually comes in at around £185 or $250, though sometimes a bit less if you find a deal. The Mini is closer to £90 or $120, so you're looking at around double the price for the T3 Pro. And really what you're paying for is the larger screen and the extra flexibility. The core experience, CarPlay and Android Auto, is very similar on both. So I don't think the question is which one is better overall, it's whether those extra features are worth the extra money for you. If you want to get a T3 Pro or Mini for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description below, and do use the code LensOfJames at checkout to get you a discount from carpodgo.com. So let's make this really simple. You should go for the T3 Pro if you want the biggest screen possible, the most flexibility with audio, and something that feels closer to a built-in system. It's also the better choice if your car doesn't have Bluetooth or has a slightly awkward setup. Go for the Mini if you want something clean, compact, and easy to live with. It's ideal for smaller cars, it looks better on the dashboard in my opinion, and if you already use Bluetooth audio, it just works without any hassle. And of course, it's significantly cheaper. After using both of these screens from Carpodgo, I think they're actually aimed at two slightly different types of drivers. The T3 Pro is the more complete, feature-packed option, and if you want the best possible experience, it's probably the one to go for. But for most people, the Mini is all you really need. It's simpler, cleaner, and still delivers the core experience just as well. So it really comes down to how much you value that bigger screen and the extra flexibility. Either way, both of these are a huge upgrade over your phone, and once you've used CarPlay or Android Auto like this, it's very hard to go back. If you've got any questions about either of them, feel free to drop them in the comments and be sure to subscribe while you're there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.